So you're pouring your time, your money, your heart, your soul, probably hours into this whole blogging thing, and no one's even reading them. Listen, that's the absolute worst. We're going to fix that today. We're tackling the 10 reasons why no one's reading your blog post and exactly how to fix it. We're going to kick things off with one of the most important ones on this list, and that is if your headline sucks, then no one's going to read your post. Listen, if you have spent hours putting together a blog post and it is absolutely amazing, and maybe you have some stunning images on it, like crazy good photography, beautiful videos, whatever. If your headline sucks, no one's going to read your post. And that is the first thing that you need to diagnose and make sure that's not going wrong. Unfortunately, it's also the last piece of the puzzle that most people do. So they put it off, or they get so exhausted from having spent so much time creating the content that they just leave the headline as an afterthought. And if anything, it needs to be the main event, not an afterthought. So if you're already tired from putting together the post, then take a breather, work on it the next day. But you definitely should be spending a lot of time working on your headline. The good news is you don't need to be a copywriting expert anymore to write great headlines. You can literally Google headline formulas. You can use the headline analyzer tool. You can use ChatGPT for this. I actually shortcut my writing process by using ChatGPT for this, and I'm a copywriter. Now, I don't use the exact titles that it gives me, but typically it helps me come up with new ideas. And a lot of times I end up taking one piece of one title and adding it to another piece of another and creating a whole new thing. The idea is that you're not working from a blank screen and that you have something to get the wheels turning in your head. But either way, this is an absolute crucial part of the writing process. Work on your headlines, because if they are not click-worthy, then no one is going to come and see your post. Another issue that I see with headlines a lot is that they are way too vague. I can't tell you how many website audits I've done where I click onto the blog and I have no idea what the post is about. This isn't a situation where you're writing a book where it's the this of this and that. Like, that's a book cover. It's supposed to be intriguing. People can then read the back. That's a whole different thing. With a blog, you need to be really specific about what it is that people are going to be reading. So don't be too vague and use one of the headline analyzer tools or use ChatGPT, Google some formulas. Either way, make headlines your number one priority. The next reason no one's reading your blog post is that your design is a cluster. Like, it's literally cluttered and it's visually turning people off. This is one of those things that people have a little bit of a blindness about, kind of like how blonde blindness and eyebrow blindness was trending on TikTok. It's like that with blogs too. People really don't notice, and you need to step away from it and see if you have a very clean, clutter-free design. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make with their design is they have this giant logo or a giant header where it takes up like 3/4 of the page, and it's almost to the point where it's below the fold. It's just taking up all this real estate and it's unnecessary. People did not come to your website to see your logo. I know you paid a lot of money for your logo, or maybe you designed it yourself and you're really proud of it and you worked hard. That's great. Unfortunately, people don't care. Like, they just really don't. So make it small and instead can give the real estate to your actual words and what you're trying to get people to read. Clean, easy to read fonts, a decent amount of white space, and a lot less buttons and badges and clutter on this is going to make your website look visually attractive and appealing so that people aren't bouncing off of it right away. This also can be extended to ads. If you have a poor ad experience and you are not with a good premium ad service, or you have a ton of pop-ups right away, then this is also going to turn people off and they're not going to stick around and they're not going to read your content. Speaking of being visually appealing, your font also has to be very clear and easy to read. And this is something else that I see happen a lot, is that it's just too small or it's too fancy and it's not easy to read. You're going to want a font that it's at least 18 points. I know it sounds big, but listen, most people are not reading on the big computer. Most people are reading on these little things, and these are small, right? They're small devices. So if anything, make sure that it's mobile friendly, make sure that it looks nice and it's easy to read. So at least 18 points, a decent amount of spacing, and a Google friendly font. I know you're obsessed with that fancy font that you found on Canva, but listen, it can make things hard to read. So make sure that it's very clear, it's legible, there's good spacing, and it's at least 18 points. I know most of you aren't doing this, but just in case, as a rule of thumb, definitely do white with black font. I know some people like the dark mode with the black on the white font, and that's a personal preference, I guess. I really try and discourage people against going that direction. It's just much easier to read black text on white font, no color, keep it simple. It works for a reason. The next major reason that people are not reading your posts is that it sounds totally generic and you sound just like everybody else. And this is going to continue being a problem in 2025 and beyond, because now a lot of us are relying on AI to produce the content, or maybe even freelance writers. So no one even knows knows who you are or who you're connecting with. Listen, if somebody's on your site and they're reading it, they're going to want something that looks and sounds like a human. So that might be something that's a little bit more personal. It's got some personality into it. It's something that they connect with. It's a real human being. And the way you get that and you get these engaged readers and people who are really invested in you and your content is literally through your words. So if you haven't found your writing voice yet and you're not sure how to write like this, chances are that it might be a little bit generic and just sounding like everybody else. Unless you're a really formal brand, which most of you who watch my content are probably more influencers or lifestyle brands, unless you're really a formal corporate agency, there's no reason to use this overly professional, stiff, what your English teacher taught you. You want to talk to people like real people, like an actual human being, like you're talking to your best friend or your sister. So it's really important that your content is human and has a personality and that you have a strong voice that stands out, that people can recognize, that they come to be like, oh yeah, this is Marlene. Like this sounds like what she wrote. Now, if all this sounds a little overwhelming for you, I do have a free guide on how to find your writing voice. You can grab that in the description box below and it will help you become more confident as a writer. Another major reason that people aren't reading your posts is that it's a giant novel. There's nothing that's a bigger turnoff that when you go to a website and it's giant blocks of text, it's completely overwhelming. For one, nobody writes like that anymore. Nobody reads like that anymore. Let's reserve that for novels and books and long form fiction. But when it comes to online content, we have to be honest. People do not have the same attention span that they had years ago, right? We're all scrolling through YouTube and TikToks and Reels and whatever, and people's attention spans are really, really short. So even if you're tackling a long piece of content, you're going to want to break it up. I don't like to see any more than like 2-sentence paragraphs. Yeah, 2 sentences max. That's literally the max. And if it's a really large sentence, then I'm going to make it a whole paragraph. You want to break the rules here because it needs to be easy to scan and easy to read. That means a lot of subheads. That means bold texting. That means using bullet points, italics, maybe different size fonts, whatever it is to make sure that it's scannable and readable, because unfortunately, no matter how hard you work on this, some people are just going to scan. Right now, another good best practice is to front load your post with bullet points. Some people are summarizing now at the beginning of the article. Yes, that means some people may not be the whole thing, but if they found value in it, chances are they're still going to come back and you're still making an impact with your reader. Now, for all my creators here who love creating but hate promoting the content, this one is for you. You have to promote your content. And I know that you know this, but it's like that nagging thing where I'm going to remind you, you have to promote your content because chances are you're just promoting it enough. You're publishing it and putting it out on the world and then just expecting people to find you. No, you have to put it out there over and over and over again. Use social media, send out an email blast, make a video about it, and promote it. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. Promote it 6 months from now. If it's evergreen, really evergreen, promote every year. You put all this work into putting this piece of content together. Make sure that you are getting the eyeballs back on your site. I know it can feel like, oh God, I've already promoted this like 1,000 times. People must be sick of me. But the thing is that you're the one that saw it 1,000 times. Nobody is following you on every single channel and reading your posts and watching your videos and engaging with your social content. Like maybe your mom, maybe your best friend. I don't know. But other than that, I guarantee people are not seeing you post the same thing a dozen times. So get over it and make sure that you are promoting your posts. Now, this next one might be obvious, but obviously we have to talk about it. And one major reason that nobody is reading your blog posts is that you're not getting enough traffic. And this is probably the biggest one on this list, which is kind of why I started towards the end, because if that's what you're struggling with, it's more in depth of an issue that we would need to diagnose in a future video. If you want me to talk about traffic, comment below traffic, and we will talk about that in future videos. But obviously, if you're not getting enough traffic, then yeah, no one's going to read your posts. Just some quick bullet points on how to get traffic is making sure that your posts are very SEO friendly, harnessing the power of Pinterest and social media. Big fan advocate of Pinterest. It's what I use to drive the majority of traffic to my websites, and I easily get over 10 million monthly views on Pinterest. It just works. Social media doesn't have the same ROI, but that really depends on your content. So make sure that it's working for you on social, that you're cross promoting it, that you're leveraging your content. Because if you're not getting enough traffic, then yeah, unfortunately, nobody's going to read your post. There are some other things that you can do. You can consider guest posting, maybe doing a freebie swap somebody else so that you can reach a new audience. There are a number of things that you can do to help grow your traffic, which is then going to get the eyeballs that you need on your post. A newer reason people may not be reading your posts is that it's not up to date. It's not multimedia friendly. So what do I mean by this? It's wanting to attract all the different kinds of readers that are on the internet. So somebody Googles something and then they come to your website and then they see the post and they don't want to read it because they don't feel like reading. Well, if you had a video at the top, maybe they would watch the video. Or if you had it summarized in audio notes, maybe they would listen to it, right? So think about how you can make your content a little bit more multimedia friendly, and it's going to broaden your audience and make sure that no matter who lands there and what type of learner they are, that they're able to get the content that they were looking for. Now, we talked about headlines a little bit in the beginning, but one thing that I left out is another mistake that could be turning people off. And that is that you are writing clickbaity headlines and you're not delivering on your promise. And believe it or not, I see this a lot. People do this especially on YouTube, but they do it on blogs too. And you're going to write something that's super click worthy, and then someone gets to the website and it's like it has anything to do with the title. So when you're working on your headlines, make sure that you are delivering on your promise. If you say it's going to be about X things, make sure that you're actually talking about X things and that you didn't enlist some way to wrangle people into your post and then not deliver, because that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? Like they're going to remember this person said it was about this and it was about something else, and people don't like a bait and switch. So don't be the person, and make sure that you are actually delivering on your promise. Another reason that people may not be reading your post is that you're not engaging your readers. People do not want to be lectured at, right? They want to engage with a human. Ask people to leave a comment, ask a question at the end, give them a reason to engage with you. You can also do this on social media when you're sharing your posts, spark engagement. Maybe you grab a snippet and ask people for their thoughts. You can survey your audience if you have an email list and ask them what kind of things they want to see next, how you can help them. The more engaging and community feel you can bring to your site and to your social channels, the more people are going to have that connection with you, which makes them want to come back for more. Now, as far as your take-home homework and your action steps, I want you to audit your site. Go through it and see if any of these 10 things are happening on your website and how you can fix it. And then hopefully that will help get some more results for you. Let me know in the comments below if you're making any of these. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and like this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.